The Jimmy IV Sexy Cool Lounge is an inspirational podcast spreading positive energy and only good vibes into the universe through personal discovery, empowerment, and self-love awareness. Now, please join me in the Sexy Cool Lounge with our creator and host, Jimmy IV.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever, man, you might be listening to this episode. And may your vibe be cruising at an altitude that is so sexy cool. So as always, y'all, at the beginning of every episode, I want to say thank you. Thank you for giving us your time, your energy, and allowing us to just spread some positive energy and good vibes only along your journey. All right. If you are so inclined, please go back and check out any one of our episodes between 1 and 96, with this being number 97. Man, we are so close to 100. And you can check out the episodes on our website, which is www.sexycoollounge.com. And if you're so inclined, please follow the podcast on any one of your favorite podcast platforms. You name it, we are there. iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, you name it, you can find us there as well. And if you're on social media, Instagram, hey, give us a follow over there as well at Sexy Cool Lounge. And you know, you can always catch me on Facebook. All right. Send me a friend request and I will definitely accept. And the good news for 2023 is Sexy Cool Lounge has its own YouTube channel. So y'all need to go on over there and check out my pretty face as well as you hear my voice. All right. Hit that notification and hit the like button. Give us a comment. Let us know how you feel about what we're doing. If you want to hear something else or want a topic you want us to discuss, please let us know. We will definitely dive into it as well. All right. And last thing I want to talk about before I introduce my guest is I want to give a big shout out to Bahamas and to Thailand, respectively. They are numbers 63 and 64 in the countries with downloaded episodes of the Sexy Cool Lounge podcast, man. We are so close to 100 countries. Let's keep it moving and continue to just spread positive energy around the world and let everybody know what we're doing. All right. Okay. Housekeeping is out of the way and let's get on with what we're here to do. All right. Episode number 97. I got a good friend who I can just say off the top that it has been a challenge and a successful challenge to have her come into the studio and spend some time with us. All right. Now, before I introduce her, let me please let you know a little bit about her. All right. She is a published author. She is a screenwriter. All right. And she's also an actress. So she is wearing multiple hats in everything that she's doing with her success. And the reason why I wanted her to come on was because of how she is sustaining what she does at such a high level and the belief that she has in herself. All right. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome and a listening ear to Miss Stacy Newton. Stacy, how are you doing?
Great. Thank you. Hi. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you for your patience and everything that has led up to this episode happening. So I want to say thank you. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. And let's get started. So first question out of the gate, Stacy, you know how this works. What does sexy cool mean to you?
Sexy cool means to me is definitely vibing on self-care, self-awareness, feeling very relaxed in my own skin, so to speak.
Yeah, well, that is exactly what sexy cool means to a lot of people. And, you know, the crazy thing about that question is that I can ask it a million times and I probably have, but I've never gotten the same answer twice. It's all relative to the perspective of the person who's giving it. So thank you for leaving your footprint on that question. And let's get started. So you're an author, okay, as well as a children's author, correct?
Correct.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and we'll start with being an author, is so what got you into getting to that point of being an author. So tell us a little bit about your journey between, you know, your beginnings to where you are now and doing things at such a high level.
Well, I really wanted to be well known as a writer, and I didn't really know exactly where to start. And this was before I really kind of wanted to do my film writing. So I actually started writing my books first. And I got some really good advice that if you want to be well known in Hollywood, you have to know more than just one thing. Meaning, writing is great, but are you an author? Are you an actress? Things like that. So I decided I'm really good at writing, and I thought, well, I'll start with that first. And that kind of started my process on getting some of my books published and kind of out there before I really made the journey into really doing what I wanted to do as a dream, which would be my film writing or
So
screenwriting.
yeah, you mentioned that you have some published books. What are some of the titles so that the listening audience can check out some of your work as well as an author?
Sure. My first book, Creatures of the Night, which is a semi-vampire book, and my other one, Angels Survive, is a Hollywood romance book. Both of my books are available on Amazon, and if you Google the titles or even just my name, I have my book should show up other places for availability to buy. And I really thought, or I still think, it's very important. I have very strong female characters that I wrote about. And I think it's also important because I wanted to really maybe option my books out, which means I wanted my books to become film. So I think the ending is very important to have kind of an open ending. So my style of writing is it's not very traditional. It's a very kind of different style of writing.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is because of the difference and because of your direction with female characters. I believe that the belief in yourself, you know, is really the heart of what I want to kind of deep dive into today. That believing in yourself and that providing the confidence step by step, even if it's just baby steps, but also once you get to one level, you're not just okay with that level, you're ready to move on to the next level. And the more that you continue to move on, the greater your confidence grows and the more you start to believe in yourself. And then that actually radiates out into the universe. Is that right?
Oh, no, that is very true. And I've always kept a journal my whole entire life. So I think it's also very important because your journal is not just, oh, today I woke up, I had breakfast, I brushed my teeth, it's your journal or your diary is very important to keep kind of like your uh, track record, your path of everything that you're doing, your emotions, everything that's happened to me. I write everything down, like phone calls. Today I had a Zoom meet, and anything. And so I think journaling is very important to kind of get your emotions down. And as you're doing that, you're able to see, wow, I did do that. Okay, it is coming forward. Oh, this is where I was stagnant. And I'm a true believer that you do kind of sometimes I've reached levels or plateaus where I'm like, what do I do next? And I think that's very honest. And I think, well, I'm just going to keep going. What am I going to do next? And if there is just a doggy window, I take it. And
It,
that's pretty much has led me up to the success that I've had today is if there is a hole, I'll try to fit through it. I'll try to make it work.
And it sounds like the writing down not only helps with the repetition of writing and the creative part within your mindset, but it also helps you to appreciate in real time those small accomplishments that if we don't write it down and we try to remember those small accomplishments in our head, that sometimes we don't give it the same value than if we write it down and we look back over 6 months or a year or 5 years for that matter and say, wow, I have really come a long way. And that is what we should be proud within ourselves about, right?
Because I think when you do reach that plateau, and sometimes I do that, I'll get some of my journals. I keep them all in a box in my room. I have access to every single one of my journals and my date books. I keep every all of that. I look back and say, "Oh, I did this," or "This is what I was working towards," and it really helps kind of solidify, like, I'm definitely gonna keep moving
Right.
because I can't stop. Because I feel like if you're born, even, just a seed, it's regardless of whatever it is, writing, acting, modeling, you know, broadcast, or whatever field, architecture, whatever field you're in, teaching, whatever seed you have inside you, you have to water it and nurture it because that is your destiny. You're already born with it. I'm a firm believer in that.
So when you are writing, if you could share with us what are some of the creative processes that you go through? I mean, do you
Sure.
just wake up one day and you just have an idea, or is it something
Yeah.
that you observe in life and you say, oh, you know what? I can take that and I can work it into a storyline or into a narrative that others can resonate with. How does that process work for you?
Yeah, sometimes it's both. I know when I wrote Creatures of the Night, it was kind of like based on a group of friends. And then I thought, ooh, wouldn't that be cool to turn them into kind of like vampires? And then it started getting really dark. Uh, what I really like to do is get some cheap tablets or spirals, like 99 cents at Walmart, and I just fill them up. And I'm not worried about chapters. I just worry about getting my story from beginning, middle, and end down on paper. That is my first and foremost. And then the creativity after it's all written down, then I can methodically go through and say, oh, this is chapter one. And then sometimes my characters change. Uh, One of my characters got really, really dark in Creatures of the Night. Actually, two of them did when I was writing. And it really does help the process of character development. Angels Survive is kind of, I wrote that a little bit differently. I was going through a really tough time with my health, was going through some struggles, and it just kind of crept in me, so to speak. And once it creeps in, I have to get it out. I can't leave it inside me at all. It starts coming out. And once I start writing, it can be a 24-hour process.
Wow. So
Yeah,
it sounds like what I'm hearing is even if you don't want to be a writer, okay, the art of writing things down will help not only the organizational process of your journey, but it also helps to keep you accountable for either things that you are thinking or things that you want to do, or
exactly.
the ability to reflect back on what you said you wanted to do, and let's just see if you actually reach that accomplishment. For those that are not necessarily writers, but the art of writing something down and keeping a journal or keeping memory documentation of things that are going on in your life, but also the things that you inspire to do, writing it down, putting it on paper, putting it in print, is a vital resource to have. Is that right?
Oh, yes. No, I totally believe that. Uh, Journaling, just even having a date book. I write everything down because sometimes we're even affected by what I write everything down. Like it's been hotter than blue blazes here in Texas. And yes, that is a very Texan saying. I don't know if y'all say that, but we say that here. And it's been like 108, and that's not even the heat index. And I write that down because sometimes as artists or it affects you. I find it very interesting on days that, oh, I did this, I did this. Oh, that's because it was cool, or it was, it was hot, it's kind of elevates kind of like a barometer where I'm at.
So let's shift gears for a second. So we've talked about you being wearing the hat of an author. Okay. So now let's shift some gears and let's talk about the screenwriter. Okay. So you go from, or you've intertwined being an author, now screenwriter. How did you get into screenwriting? Or was that just like a segue transition from being an author?
No, I've always wanted to be a film writer. I never really thought I would actually be an author. That's really just kind of something that kind of surprised that I had that jewel inside me, because I've always wanted to be a screenwriter, like as long as I can remember. And I was very fortunate. I got somebody had given me a link to a very well-known director, producer, film writer. And one night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I thought, I don't really know, but I know if I don't do this, I'm going to have regrets. So I went ahead and I filled out the submission, and I put in some of my writing. You know, if I was going to write a film, this would be the film I would write, script. And I submitted it. And within 12 hours, I got an email back saying they loved it. They thought it was great. They actually invited me to a premiere, a screening that they had in Los Angeles. And I met him, and I met his mentor in writing. And I thought, this is what I want to do. This is it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so that's how my process started, my
So,
journey.
so in the short form, for those that don't know what a screenwriter is, okay,
Sure.
or what a script is, okay. I think all of us at one point in time have been to the movies or we've watched a movie, okay, but we may not know the technical behind the scenes terms. So for anyone that doesn't really know either what a script is or what a screenwriter is, help us
Right.
understand and appreciate what that is behind the scenes or when we see that in the credits of things.
Yes. Okay. So basically, script, or the screenwriter, is basically writing, I would call it like bullet notes for the director to take direction on how he wants to shape his film. It's got like the dialogue, characters. It's very different than writing in a book where everything could be long and lean and flow. Of course, you want your script to be flowy, but uh, it's more of a methodical way of you set up the scene, and then you support it with the dialogue. There are certain ingredients, as I think that's a easy way to kind of think of it, ingredients that you have to put in it to kind of make it rise.
Nice. So I just wanted the listening audience to just have a greater appreciation of script and screenwriter. So you're working as a screenwriter and you're able to excel in that in your creative process and just move that along. But then also you have now the actress portion of it. Now, was that
Yeah.
something that you've always wanted to do as well, in addition to the screenwriting, or did that kind of just like all of a
I,
sudden fall into your lap in a very
yeah.
unexpected way?
Correct. Yeah. No, I absolutely just, I would say, fell into that because at the studio that I was in North Hollywood, the director producer that I was with felt like it was very important that as directors, writers, directors, cinematographer, whoever you were in the film industry, that it was very important for us kind of experience what each one did. I was very fortunate after I met him, he put me in two of his major films, and it was really exciting because I never been on film before, and then I really got the understanding of how important a script is. It goes beyond just the dialogue and the characters. I really got more of a full understanding of what that means. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be in a film, but for him and for where I came from, I was a pre-K teacher before I started this.
Thank
I've
you so
always been a very outgoing person. If you meet a 3-year-old, I feel like you can meet any kind of grown up. I'm not afraid of anything after working with pre-K kids. Um, that kind of toughens you up. But I was really glad to have that exposure because I never had done anything like that before in my life.
Well, before we go any further, I do need to say thank you for everything that you've done, being a teacher and touching the lives of so many kids. And it's just kind of a soft spot with me because most of my family uh, has been in the educational system, and my mama is a retired school principal. So, I anytime that someone says that they are a teacher, they were a teacher, I just need to stop and give acknowledgement to that because I think sometimes they do not get enough acknowledgement for all of the things that they do. So thank you for what you've done as a teacher to enrich and just continue to touch lives around the community. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So the actress side is in alignment with the screenwriting
Yes.
because you get an appreciation for one and the other, depending on what side you're on at any given moment, which is at the heart of why I wanted you here. Okay, now we've talked about you being an author, we've talked about the screenwriter, and we've also talked about the actress. All right, I want your opinion on being in alignment with yourself in order to have the success that you want. Okay. Not so much what you need, but what you
Right.
want. All right. Because, in my opinion, if you're not in alignment with yourself, okay, no one else can be in alignment with you to actually support you on that journey. And now that you have all three in alignment at one stage or another, and the success that you've had, now looking back on it, the importance of being in alignment with yourself is now at the forefront of where it all starts. Is that right? Am I kind of
Yes.
getting that correct?
Yes. No, that's very true. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for
I
you,
think
that awakening happened when? Where did that happen for you? So if anybody's listening to this episode and they want to find the awareness within themselves of that alignment, how would you direct them to say, hey, here are some of the ingredients, if you will, that you need to work on to get that alignment together?
you really have to know your dream and your passion. I've always known my dream and my passion. I used to write myself in on movies and TV shows. I didn't even know how to write I didn't even know what a script was at that age, but I would write me in to everything. I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. And what led me there, I kind of think of it as like I'm earth and everything rotates. I know it sounds very cliche, but it does naturally come. I mean, I know I did a lot of hard work. I made a lot of connections, but I that one connection completely opened doors for me. And you just have to keep going. Okay, that door closed, find another door. And I think that's very important, and just stay in line. You're just earth, you're spinning. There's things just kind of bouncing off. Just have to be focused. Okay, there's the sun. I know that sounds very cliche, but that's just how I kind of think of it. Like you have all these things kind of going around, and that's your center. So you know exactly what you do and what your part is.
Know your center and know exactly what you do and what your
Exactly.
part is. Awesome.
Exactly.
That is such an impactful way to appreciate being in alignment with yourself, which then s- plants the seed and actually helps grow the seed of believing in
Right.
yourself. Because if you don't have that,
Right.
everything else is going to truly be a challenge for you. You have to believe in yourself, but you also have to be centered within
Yes,
yourself, which then takes you back to knowing who you are and believing in yourself to be able to get where you want to get to. It may take you time and you may have challenges and you may have some setbacks,
that's
but
correct.
don't not stop the journey, right?
That's correct. And nobody's going to water, only you can water that seed. I mean, now it's great. I got connected to a studio. They weren't going to water, they weren't going to nurture that seed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yes, I've met a lot of people, but really, I feel like it's your sole responsibility to be able to nurture and water that seed, because no one else is going to do, you know what I mean? Like you have that responsibility to yourself to do that.
You have that responsibility to yourself. Do you hear that, family? You have that responsibility to yourself. No one else has that responsibility, nor should they. Your authenticity is yours. It doesn't belong to someone else. It is yours, family. And that is why I wanted Stacy Newton here. So you could hear it from someone who is in the business, not only in the business, but she is an author and she is a screenwriter and she is doing things at a high level. And she's telling you what you just heard. Okay. So, Miss Stacy, tell everybody, please, how can we stay in touch with you? How can we find you? How can we check out some of your work? How can we read some of your books that have been published? Tell us where we can just keep in touch with you, please.
Sure, mainly on Amazon. That's where all of my books are listed and available. Also Barnes and Noble online. You can reach me at, let's see, SKYO Instagram, or just put in my name in Instagram and I should pop up. But you can
What
usually
about
find my books
what about
there.
any movie credits? Is there anywhere
Oh,
where we
yes,
can find
yes,
those as well?
definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely. My IMBD. Yes, and that's just Stacy Newton. Mm.
Okay. If you didn't get a chance to write any of this down, family, don't worry about it. It will be in the show notes. So you can reach out to her from any of her platforms from the show note links, and I will make sure that that's up as well. Miss Stacy, if there is one thing that you could say to people around the world to inspire them to be great within themselves, what would that be?
Keep shining.
Keep what?
Keep shining.
Keep shining. There you go, family. Keep shining. You've heard it from Miss Stacy. And that is what we're going to do. And that is what we are going to strive to be and do every single moment that we breathe on this earth. Miss Stacy, It has been a pleasure having you in the Sexy Cool
Oh, thank
Lounge. Thank you so much
you.
for coming in and leaving your footprint. It has been a challenge, but it has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And family, let's make sure that we do what Miss Stacy says. Let's keep shining and let's continue to love ourselves. Love ourselves enough, irradiate our vibe. Okay. And let's make sure that we never forget, family, that even though we do not have as much as others, man, we still have more than others. So let's continue to put good vibes into this universe so we can always get good vibes back. I'm Jimmy IV. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next episode.